And the Texas Center for Music and Medicine, I'd like to welcome you to the first Health Promotion in Schools of Music Conference here in Fort Worth, Texas. Welcome. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of you who have participated up to this point and all those who are going to participate this weekend, and just express, and I will continually for the weekend, how much I appreciate all of your hard work and dedication to this particular exercise. Our partnering organization, the Performing Arts Medical Association, has been a cornerstone of this particular effort and a real extension of what they've been doing over the last 20 years. And at this point, I'd like to introduce the current president, Steve Mitchell of the Performing Arts Medical Association, for his welcoming comments.
Thank you, Chris. Well, on behalf of the Performing Arts Medicine Association, I would just want to let you know it's much bigger than what you're going to see right here, although we're very blessed that we've got a significant number of our past officers, founders, future presidents, past presidents, and other members here. So during this meeting, if you have any opportunity, you'll kind of spot us lurking around through here. Some of us wearing our special little t-shirts like Ralph has back there. It's an organization that we're very happy to be involved with this project that Chris has brought up, because it really gets at the heart of what we're about, which is to try to keep the injuries we're treating from occurring in the first place, and to try to keep the people who are teaching the musicians we love to hear so much in fit status. And so we're interested not only in just the performers, but also the people who teach them, who are also at risk. And so this is something that is near and dear to our hearts. We're very happy to be involved in it. We're delightful with all the hard work Chris has done and all the hard work that you all will do, because that's the nature of this whole thing. This is going to be a large collaboration where we all are in this particular project to try to get it to completion, because it's so important for the thing that we love the most, which is the continuation of the quality of music that we enjoy so much. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Chris.
Thanks, Steve. Over the past several years, I've been traveling to Aspen, Colorado for the annual PAMA meeting, and we've often had debates about holding and hosting the conference in other parts of the country. And every time we walk outside of the Wheeler Opera House and smell that Colorado air and see the blue sky, we wonder why the discussion doesn't proceed too much. But hopefully you'll enjoy Texas in your stay here, and fortunately we've got some wonderful weather and we're not too far from Fort Worth. But we deliberately planned this event here in part due to the fact that you can't walk outside and be on Main Street, Fort Worth, and not come back for the afternoon session. So we've got a reason for our being here in that regard. I'd like at this point to acknowledge the primary funders of this exercise. By and large, this is externally funded, and the funding organizations have shown great interest in this particular exercise, and they've considered it as a starting point to a long-term agenda that they think is worthwhile nationally, and I believe that that's something that everyone here needs to know. This isn't something that they're throwing money at just to pacify some current concerns, but they believe that there should be an ongoing dialogue and an ongoing evolution in terms of how we educate musicians so that we can prevent the maladies associated with learning and performing music. The first interaction in terms of the sponsors was with the lady Paula Terry, who works for the National Endowment for the Arts and oversees access to arts programs at the National Endowment for the Arts. And she was my internal advocate for this particular program. And I'd like to extend a great thank you to her, and also to thank the National Endowment for the Arts for their sponsorship of this event. And also the Grammy Foundation, which was the Grammy organization, has funded this. The money's earmarked for this project from them is not specifically for this conference, because their granting guidelines don't allow for funding of conferences, but they do allow for funding of other activities. And so the monies will be used to extend the resources that we're going to develop this weekend into the school curriculums throughout the country. So we're poised in part with some funding to be able to do that, so we can look forward to using those funds in that regard. And then we have the National Association of Music Merchants, and I would like to acknowledge a couple of people who have helped introduce the idea to that organization and then to encourage its involvement, and that would be David Schrader, former dean of our College of Music, and then a local music merchant, I suppose, business person from the Brooke Mays organization, and Billy Everett. And Billy Everett is, I believe, the executive director and president of the American Music Council, which helped make the argument for need here, and I'd like to thank him and David. And then we also have a foundation associated with NAMM, the International Foundation of Music Research, that is contributing to this exercise, and also a local foundation called the Scott Foundation. My dean, Jim Scott, has made the point this morning during the discussion that it's not the Jim Scott Foundation, but a local foundation here. And we're very appreciative of having their contributions and support for today's and this weekend's events. Down. Well, there's our first PowerPoint glitch. Instead of yes, there's a link, yes, there's a glitch. I apologize for that. I hope we can get that remedied. Anyway, I'd like to begin my introductory comments by pointing out that the consistency of results throughout the performing arts medical literature, a biologic and or psychosocial plausibility of coherence of evidence, and the specificity of insults or conditions leading to specific effects is powerful enough to suggest this link between learning and performing music and medical injuries. This is from an article that just came out in the Performing Arts Medical Association's journal by Shuley and Letterman, which is addressing the worker compensation issues. But they make a clear argument that these relationships exist. And I don't think at this point the argument for whether they exist or not is appropriate, but what we do about it is. And of course, other indications of the concern for this, which is in large part the reason for doing this particular exercise, is evidenced in the National Association of Schools of Music handbook. Under both general standards for graduation from curricula leading to baccalaureate degrees in music and also master's degrees in music. And as a general standard, item D here talks about professional health, and the same item is included for the graduate degree. Oops. This is the wording in the handbook. Institutions should assist students to acquire knowledge from qualified professionals regarding the prevention of performance injuries. And this is all it says in both undergraduate and graduate level professional health line item. And when this became known to me, my first reaction was to think of how we would actually implement such a suggestion. And this particular statement was the basis of need for the funding that we're able to get for this weekend. And however, NASM Music School administrators and faculty have not received substantial, if any, formal or informal education regarding occupational safety and health or prevention-based educational programming. And sure, there are wonderful examples of individuals involved with this. Many of you are here who have developed a specific curriculum or pedagogic attempts to remediate or prevent performance-related injuries. But by and large, this is not something that we do as a collective exercise. And I've made the argument that a national conference is needed to link applicable resources with individuals and organizations involved in the education of musicians in order to develop and disseminate recommendations for music schools. And a conference is needed to ensure and shorten the time frame between the development of disease prevention and health promotion techniques and the practical applications in the music school setting. So we hope this exercise accelerates, implements real, practical, applicable, meaningful, relevant material or approaches to dealing with what we're going to talk about this weekend. So the mission of the Health Performance in Schools of Music program is to assist institutions, assist students to acquire knowledge from qualified professionals. So we're helping them fulfill that suggestion within the NASM handbook. So before we go on, let's just take a quick look at the population of people that we're talking about assisting the schools to get information. There's approximately 100,000 music students attending NASM schools. Approximately 2/3 are undergraduate, and approximately half of the undergraduates are music education majors. And I'm under the belief that this set of assumptions is correct, and that is that music students can be informed about risks, and that informed music students will be more likely to choose and adopt healthier music-related behaviors. Informed music students will be more likely to seek and benefit from medical advice, and informed music students will be more likely to model healthier behaviors as educators. So the primary goal of this exercise, and I want to say this with some strength and conviction, because this is really what we need to focus on as our primary goal for the next few days, and that's to develop core content for health promotion deliverables. Now, we're not talking about the form or format of the deliverable itself, or how we're going to package up this material. We're not going to talk about getting it into the language that's best appropriate for a college-age student. We're not talking about the systems that we'll use to implement this, but we're talking about the core content. What will be inside of this material that is necessary to create an awareness and a change in behavior among the students. And in order to get at that, we're going to hear from qualified experts, and we're going to determine what we want and what the qualified experts want students to know. And we're going to derive consensus within this group, hopefully, with contributions from various stakeholders. And here today we have probably 75 to 80% participation prior to this event. So many of you understand this agenda and have already been thinking about it. And we hope that those who are just visiting, haven't had that prior relationship with the project, do contribute their ideas and their thoughts. This is very, very important for this weekend to be successful. The 4 working health groups are going to present the bulk of the material this weekend. The large segments will include presentations of the vocal health group, hearing health, mental health, neuromusculoskeletal health. Each of these sessions will be organized so that at least the last half hour of that time block is devoted to comments and question and answers. And please think about that time frame as a critical opportunity, an important opportunity to weigh in on some issue, provide a perspective that has not been articulated, or ask a question to resolve some doubt that or a thing of interest that you're not that clear on. And in order to do that, you're more than welcome to come on up here and use the microphone. If there is some question or concern that you have that doesn't seem to be of a level of concern or urgency that warrants use of this time, you're more than welcome to write it down, and we'll talk a little bit about that process so that we can incorporate those concerns or get back to you or find the appropriate expert to answer your question. And then question and answers. Then we have a liaison group that we believe is very important. I believe there's 23 organizations that have committed to partnering with this exercise, And many of them, all of them have identified a liaison person. Many of them have sent liaisons here. So whether people representing, for instance, the International Trumpet Guild, me. People representing the Flute Association and the Organ Association and the piano and the Nats and so on and so forth. And the perception or the perspectives that these people have on this dialogue is very important. And the understanding as to how that person, as they work and relate to other people in other organizations, and how they strategize to move information back and forth from their constituencies is something that will be dealt with during the lunch hours here. After we break for lunch, Bill Dawson will entertain that group's direction, focus that group over across the hall here, so you can grab your box lunch and go over there and meet together. The other participants, what I've done here over the last few days is whittle this first line item from like 5 slides down to just this, music education group. I've got so much passion and confidence, I have passion for the issue and confidence in the people involved in this group, that I'm very excited about it. I have a lot to say. My PhD is in music education. And I'm going to just leave it up to the group to present their findings on Saturday and leave it at that. But very, very excited to have this group that can have a very powerful effect, I believe, on how we think about teaching teachers to teach children. And the evidence for these risk factors related to music learning and performing are just as powerful regardless of age, regardless of professional involvement, and regardless of the aspirations of the music student. And so therefore we really need to address how we approach teaching children and teaching teachers of children. Then we have the coordinating group, and this is the group that's sitting here in the back that sort of going to ride gunshot over this exercise, and very interesting mix of people, and I'm delighted to have them here. And they're basically going to have extra eyes over the dialogue. They all have medical and scientific backgrounds, education backgrounds, and help us who are going to try to think about this as efficiently as possible when everybody leaves, help us understand what was actually discussed. And then we have special topics presenters. We have a case law review session, and we have an interesting session on developing standards for us as educators by Bill Meinke. And we have a session on Saturday which will provide some insight into the resources that college campuses can utilize, hopefully more than they do now, in terms of serving the needs of music students. So I'll have characterizations of the counseling centers on campuses, the health centers on campuses, and the speech and hearing centers on campuses. And then we have the delegates, all of you. The broad goal of the conference to generate awareness, interest, and discussion and accountability for health preservation and disease prevention on behalf of individuals involved with music. So at this point, I'd like to introduce Dr. George Kondrowski for a few words. He's going to describe and characterize some of what his group is doing here in the back and how it's situated so that you can feed information to that group as we go along and so forth. Dr. Kondrowski.
Good morning. Well, Chris asked me to come up here and tell you what our group is going to do, and I think he sort of gave you a good hint at that. And in thinking about it, I thought a good way to explain it to you might be to use a story that I recently heard about a major league umpire and his career in the major leagues. Of course, they don't start from nothing, so they've done work before, but that first game in the major leagues is a big deal. And in his first game, he was, as could be imagined, not very confident going out there and making these calls. It turns out the first pitcher, was Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan is known for his fastball, as an amazing pitcher. He was just coming up at the time. And the first pitch that came out was a ground ball. It basically was a curveball, hit the dirt in front of the plate, and with great confidence, he called ball. That was an easy one. The next pitch was one of the fastballs. Right down there, you know, you blink and you miss it. And with some trepidation, he called strike. batter got out of the batter's box, as he tells his story. It's a true story. And he walks around the catcher, puts his arm around the umpire, says, "That's okay, I didn't see it either." And we're sort of situated back there, you know, where the pitcher's up here, and we have that perspective, that bird's eye perspective. And there's so many things we anticipate going on here, and it's those fastballs and things like that that we hope to catch. We hope to encourage everyone to participate using the response systems that are out here, and you'll hear more about that in a minute. And suggestion cards, talk to us in between on things that you have ideas on how certain points of view might be integrated, anything in that vein, and that's why I guess we're called the coordinating group. So with that, I'd like to ask Andy Krim to come up, and he's going to give us a little training session on the response system that we have in place here to help us gather information about your thoughts. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andy Krim from the Office of Professional and Continuing Education at the University of North Texas Health Science Center in Fort Worth, and I want to welcome you all here. Before I do get started, I would like to let you know that a representative for the Fort Worth Convention and Visitors Bureau is sitting out front. If you're planning on going into Fort Worth, stop by. He can give you some discount parking tickets or free parking tickets and some maps and fill you in on all the details of the area. It's a lot of fun. Audience response system. The evolution of audience response has been kind of interesting. In the very beginning, there was a Stone Age, where if you didn't like the speaker, you just threw a stone at him and got him off stage. That gave way to the Iron Age, where someone walked up with a big iron club and hit him over the head. Now, during the more civilized age, when people realized that while fear and tyranny led to actually better speakers, they didn't do much for that speaker's effectiveness. Fear just really doesn't do well. So they went into the Hand Age, where a speaker would ask a question, raise their hand, give the audience response, and the speaker would know how that audience felt about a certain topic. Now that led Rays to the much more advanced audible response format, or the ARF, where the audience just barked responses back to the speaker. Now finally, we've moved into the wireless age, and we have a wireless audience response system, which I'm going to demonstrate for you now. Each of you have in front of you something that looks like a high-tech doorstop. This is actually a very advanced radio transmitter and receiver. You can see a button. There are several buttons on the front. We're going to use mostly 1 through 6 for this demonstration. And we're going to use this probably advanced. Everybody go ahead and just push a button and see what happens. A little light will come up in the corner on your handset, and it'll disappear eventually. When it disappears, that means that your answer has been received. And we're going to go through some sample questions just to kind of give you the feel of this. Oops. Okay. First of all, why did you decide to attend this conference? And if we can go ahead and get the answer now up on the screen. You'll see when answer now is flashing, you can put your answer in. You can always change your answer as long as answer now is flashing and it won't duplicate. It'll just overwrite your previous answer. So you didn't have enough work to do. The weather in Texas is always pleasant, especially this time of year. Golf course was next to the hotel. Dr. Chesky is just so darn cute. Your boss made you come, or you're just interested in the topic. And we'll give the bar up in the top left time to fill in. Not all 100 will be taken. And it looks like we're up to about 66, so if Bob, we can go ahead and see the results. And he's only pulling in 13% of the audience. So. All right, a little more serious now, serious topics. We'll go on to the next question. What's your primary role here? Choose the one that best matches your primary role. We realize this isn't going to fit everyone, but we're doing the best we can, and so we always add the other category. And wow, we're already up to 70. 71, 72. Bob, if we can go ahead and see the results, please. All right, a pretty good distribution of people. An interesting thing about the audience response system, and you'll have to give your presenters a little leeway, the ones who use this, when this slide goes up, when you see the chart, this is the first time anyone's ever seen this slide in the world. So it takes just a minute to interpret the results. Looks like we have 24% studio faculty, 26% music education faculty, 11% administrators, 3% performers, 26% healthcare providers, which is a much larger than I actually thought we would have, and about 10% of the others. So we can see the next slide, please. Now, just a little demonstration of the power of this system. You don't have to answer anything here. Bob, if we can see this. Looks like, who thought Dr. Chesky was cute? This can cross-tabulate your responses. So we can categorize you. The responses to this are anonymous. We don't know who has what handset, so don't worry about answering. We're not going to go back and check. And that's important as we move forward and get into some very serious questions. But what it will allow you to do is cross-tabulate your responses to where we can see how certain groups of people answer certain questions. And that's great for research information. Go on to the next question. How long have you been concerned with medical problems in musicians? You're not concerned at all. I don't think that anyone's going to answer that, or you wouldn't be here. You've just been recently concerned, 2 years or less, more than 2 years, or you've always been concerned about this issue. Give it a few seconds to tally the responses. Okay, Bob? Wow. That's great. And now the next question. If you're representing an NASM school, have you implemented any health promotion education for music students? Yes, no, you're not with the school, or you're not sure. Okay, Bob? Fairly good distribution there as well. And do we have one? I believe we have one more. How did you hear about this conference? You received a letter, got an email, saw the poster from your professional organization. You saw it in a trade publication or journal, or you found out about it some other way? Okay, Bob? Some other way. Wow. Have to bone up on our marketing. I believe that's our last question. Click one more. That's it. This is just a very short demonstration on the power of this, how we're going to use it maybe throughout the conference. If you have any suggestions for questions, please let someone in the group in the back or Bob or myself know. I would also like to introduce you. He's making the magic work here. Bob McKnight, he's with the University of North Texas Health Science Center, and he is keeping us all together and on task and making sure all the technology works. So thank you. If you have any questions for either one of us, let us know.
Thanks, Andy. Andy. Now, if I could go back to my slide presentation, I have one more. Good, thank you. Well, I know there are several of you out there who have been involved in research and measurement and accountability to ideas and what people perceive to be going on that are going to find this particular opportunity valuable and consider it very worthwhile to implement here. It's one thing to think about what we're all thinking collectively. It's another thing to be specific and ask questions and know for sure how we feel about certain issues and what our belief systems are. So I encourage you to help take advantage of this particular thing, particularly as we head towards Saturday after lunch, when we're going to try to derive some consensus regarding the particular content or the particular direction that we think we need to be going in the future. It's a very, very important opportunity that we're able to utilize here this weekend. And so anyway, I'd like to move to a little bit of logistical discussion and housekeeping. Just to let you know that the sessions are being videotaped, and the sessions will be webcast on the HPSM website in the future. We do have the audience response system that you were just exposed to. The comments and question and answer scenario hopefully established, and encourage you all to participate in that. And the questions, the papers and the PowerPoints and the end results of this exercise will also be available later. And you'll note that some of the PowerPoint presentations that are included in your workbook aren't the ones that you're going to be seeing. There have been adjustments made as early as this morning. There's papers that are still in the process, and we hope that this exercise contributes to the final thoughts in those papers. And but at some point, hopefully in the near future, all that material will be finalized and then made available on the website. We will have breaks. This morning's break will be at about 11 o'clock, so if you feel the need to leave the room and you're close to 11, you might want to wait. But we're going to encourage the particular groups that are going to consider some strategy that would make sense to take a 10, 15-minute break so we can have coffee and go to the bathroom and so on. And then we have some special events that I want you to be aware of. Tonight we'll have a reception out here that's close to the outside area. It should be lovely this afternoon, and some food and things. And then tomorrow night at 5 o'clock when we leave, and we're going to have to leave at 5 o'clock because we're going to use this room for our banquet and our concert, and they need to turn the room over. So we'll leave at 5 o'clock, but at that point in time, there will be a professional photographer from University of North Texas to capture the groups. So I'd like the group leaders to organize their groups and hopefully corral them to an appropriate area so we can get some nice photos that will help archive this particular event. And then tomorrow night, we'll have a dinner here. I hear the food is just lovely, and I encourage all of you to attend. And we're going to showcase some fine musicians from the University of North Texas who are studying music and medicine as an optional related field. And Dr. Pamela Paul will be here to MC that event and help us understand why those students chose this particular area of scholarship as part of their DMA program, which I think would be interesting for you to hear. And we can look forward to that. And then not listed on here is Saturday afternoon's brunch will be Texas Southwest Fair, and it should be a little more substantial than the box lunches that will accommodate the group meetings during lunch, but should send you on your way with a full belly. Anyway, I very much want to say how much I appreciate you here, how much support I've had from my dean, Jim Scott, and from the University of North Texas. I feel very privileged to be in a university that offers the opportunity for someone like me to push the edges and collaborate outside of the College of Music and do things that are very unusual. And if it wasn't for that commitment and the opportunities that the University of North Texas has provided me and Jim Scott and deans prior to him, this wouldn't be possible. And I really want to thank Jim and the university for enabling this to happen. And before I pass the mic on to our vocal health group, I also like to thank those who've been behind the scenes for now about 3 years, just encouraging me and encouraging the process and giving me ideas as to how to make this successful. One is Sam Hope from the National Association of Schools of Music. I've been a primary consultant for this ever since its inception, and I appreciate your support, Sam, and your being here today and this weekend. And then the people involved in the Texas Center for Music and Medicine. This is an enterprise and a thing that nobody can do by themselves, I believe. And so I'd really like to extend a large thank you to John Hipple. And John, where are you? For his ceaseless support, and George Kondrowski in the back, and Miriam Hennick, who is not here with us today, and her mom died 2 days ago and she had to leave, so she's unable to attend, but her commitment to this particular exercise and our center has been unwavering, and our thoughts and prayers are with you, Miriam, during this particular time. Dr. Ling Liu is a newcomer to our Center for Music and Medicine, and appreciate her input, and let's see, who am I leaving out? There's one other person. Bernie Rubin, that's right. The medical director of the Texas Center for Music and Medicine. He'll be here tomorrow, who's the co-director of our center and chief of rheumatology at our Health Science Center. Has been very instrumental in the inception and sustaining of this particular exercise. So thank you, welcome, and have a wonderful conference. And please call on me if you need anything, and we'll make sure everything is taken care of. Thanks. I don't-